One of the common asks on the channel or the community has been what would be a good database to store a lot of time series data? While this video might not be for everyone, but is really for somebody who's looking to build their own data infrastructure and make the right choices about a database that can support the time series data that they need to bring in. Now, there are multiple options. You have something like a timescale DB, InfluxDB, and I've had my encounters with them. But QuestDB kind of popped up and as a product because I really like the fact that they are open source Apache 2.0. It's a very, very well maintained project. They have a pretty neat UI, which is a good starting point for a lot of people. And they offer a lot of good core technological features, which I've not seen really in other databases. And it's very low barrier to entry. The first thing that they talk about is financial market data, and that's another reason. So on their website, you can go ahead and look at different comparisons, like how they fare against something like InfluxDB, and they've compared it against performance numbers and everything else to understand. So there's QuestDB, there's InfluxDB. The requirements are different. Influx is more like SQL-like database. They have their own programming language like InfluxQL, which is called Flux, and so that could be one barrier to entry. And similarly with timescale DB, they have given their comparison again that different sort of similarities. Timescale would be a better choice, I would say, if you are comparing between timescale and influx. But I just wanted to give it a try about QuestDB. Quest might be built from ground up. I'm not sure about it. I haven't looked at it. But this is Apache licensed database. I think timescale is built on top of Postgres, if I'm not wrong. So you can go ahead on their website. This supports a bunch of data formats as well. Like, there's a lot of there's SQL, obviously, there's a columnar storage, native or Apache Parquet, if you know all of these names. But primarily, if you're interested in storing time series data, you can just go to their website, go to, just download it. Like, they have a UI, you can just get it up and running pretty interestingly. They have a bunch of different deployment options. If you're on Mac, you can just do two commands. You can run by Docker, Kubernetes, bunch of options available. You can also give it a try. I believe they have a live demo which you can see and click. And once you click a live demo, you'll see some sort of an environment. So I'm just gonna, show you what data they have. So they have already pre-populated this with two financial data basically. So there's weather information and they have like wind direction and a bunch of information which I'm not interested in. The strips information like what sort of cab, longitude, latitude there. And then there's a lot of information about trades. So this is the like trade you have taken. So there's the side, which side you have taken the trade, price, and all of that. And then they have stored Ethereum blocks and AAPL order book, which is order book. Apple is kind of the default standard for all, I would say, discussions like this. So just put a query like select star from AAPL order book and put run here. It'll just execute the query in a sample environment. I've not done any work to get this up. This is like a live demo. You have a bunch of more example queries, like you can compare some trading related like chart pattern understanding, for instance. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna run. Maybe it'll run. So this is more sort of an aggregation and chart pattern analysis. Let's see. This would not run probably. I'm just gonna do my query. Yeah, which is this. So they have all the timestamps captured. They have time series data group pin. They have the symbol, publisher ID, instrument, which side it is, depth, price, size, flag, and then they have the whole bid size and bid ask spread across captured. So there's like a lot of different dimensions. The number of records are pretty high. It can be a good dimensionality, support good dimensionality like number of columns, and you can store the large amount of data as well. And this is probably running on a simple infrastructure. If you give it a good starting point, this looks like a very low friction starting point. You can look at some example queries. Let's see if actually something I'm able to get. This looks like a pretty complicated query, which is maximum slippage query, and you can done this like by time spent average. So this is pretty good for some basic calculations around it. Again, you should be able to connect this database to a programming language and use this. So deploying this would also be easy. I would assume I can probably do a deployment if somebody needs it. This should be relatively straightforward to install on a Linux environment. If you need help, please reach out in the comments section. All right, with that, this video comes to an end. Thank you for listening.